gonna gap, okay? This is gonna be one of those videos because I was literally looking at my topic, which is True Life, I canceled Netflix. Also, those True Life, that TV show, True Life from MTV, was like 20 years ago, right? Like it's been a very long time. So I'm like, as a framework, I don't even know if that's still relevant. Look, it is showing my age. I am 32, by the way. I know I have a very youthful energy. And I told someone my age recently, and their level of shock was to the point that I was like, should I be offended? Like, should I be offended that I'm not giving you grown woman energy? So I'm wearing my grown woman black crop top. So y'all know, I'm a whole grown woman, all right? I've been around. I was there for like MySpace, all right? I was there for Facebook when it first started. I'm not here for Threads. Let me know about how y'all feel about that. At some point, you just gotta stop. Like, at some point. I know for me, it was with TikTok, and I've tried since to get back on there. That's the one where I was like,
I'm no longer joining new social media platforms in a meaningful way. I'm so sorry.
YouTube is gonna be my home. You're not gonna see me on Threads. You're not gonna see me on TikTok. And of course I reserve the right to change it. To go back on anything I'm saying. But in this moment, that is true. So yeah, also hi, my name is Chimdi. So, by the way, I really want to have one of those little like 3-second, 5-second like title card thingies that says my name. So if you're a graphic designer and you want to make one for me, either for free, but also for paid, because I love supporting creatives, send me an email, let me know. Right, True Life, I canceled Netflix. And the thing is, it was not intentional. I at some point did not have Netflix, and then I got it again probably when I was traveling internationally with Remote Year, because the payment for my Netflix account was in Vietnamese currency. So that's what they were charging me with. When I was having some kind of issue with my account, they wanted to verify my phone number and they would automatically put in this Vietnamese area code, and I couldn't change it on my end. And so I called up Netflix at like 10 o'clock at night and I was like, hey, I walked them through the whole thing, and I tried multiple times on my end to like change it, but it's the kind of thing where if you keep trying to like do it, they just lock you out of the account. So I called them up and they were like,
yeah girl, you're locked out of the account.
First they were like, we'll cancel your account, create a new one, and then the new one will have all of your history so you don't have to worry about losing any of that stuff. And I was like, bet. So they go ahead and cancel my account. I try to create a new one and they won't let me because there's been too many attempts previously. And so he's like, basically give it an hour and you should be able to get a new account. And an hour, 60 minutes was all it took for me to be like, actually no. Like, actually let's just see what it's like to not have Netflix. And I am someone who was being very intentional about my spending. So I went through this season of like canceling all of my unnecessary expenditures. So for a while I had both Netflix and HBO Max, and I canceled HBO Max. I finished watching whatever I was watching and I was like, I'm done. I had Disney Plus for a hot second, finished watching whatever I was watching. I'm like, I'm done. And I thought for sure, I was like,
if there's one streaming platform I'm going to have, it is going to be Netflix.
And I want to name that I stand in solidarity with the WGA and the writers and the actors who are trying to get fair pay from all of these streaming services. I'm not in any of those guilds, but I love creators and writers and actors. So I'm just like, we stand with the WGA. So this is also a unofficial protest. It's not. I'm not gonna lie. It didn't have anything to do with the strike. I really just ran into issues on the back end. But I still support what the strike stands for. That's the main point I wanna make. But yeah, I just really thought I would never cancel Netflix. Like, it would just be my one streaming service. And I did. And then what I found is that there is so much free content. So much free content. YouTube itself has YouTube movies with ads, which I don't mind because I feel like every time that like the ad break comes, I mute it, I mute the ad, and I just like stare into the middle distance and I take some deep breaths, take one with me. I reflect about my life, my choices, and then I get back to watching the movie when I'm back. I like it. I like these like breaking up the rhythm of just staring nonstop at a screen, you know? So not only does YouTube have free movies with ads, but then there are all these other like Freevee platforms. Amazon has its own Freevee platform. I think it might actually be called Freevee, but I don't really know. There's one called Tubi, Roku, like there's all of these platforms, and as a result, I have like entered a whole, it feels like I've entered a different internet, I'm not gonna lie. And with it being free, there is a notable difference in the quality, though not always. And just naming, there's a real horniness to the content on these other platforms, which I also find very interesting. The way I even like entered this world of free content, there's this actor named Brett Goldstein. He's in Ted Lasso. By the way, Best Buy, and I'm gonna put the link in the description. Best Buy has this thing where you can get 3 months free of Apple TV Plus. You don't have to buy nothing. I don't know if it's just for US viewers or whatever. 3 months free of Apple TV Plus. So that's how I have been watching Apple TV. Thank you, Best Buy. Thank you, Apple. So I've been loving my Ted Lasso, living my best life. There's this actor who plays Roy Kent. It's very attractive. He also played a character in the most recent Thor movie in the post-credit scene. That was actually my first introduction to that actor. So it made sense to me that he was like this kind of like tough guy football player. Then in real life, he's like this really funny comedian. He's like a really nice guy, whatever. And so I went down the like Roy Kent, Brett Goldstein rabbit hole, and I consumed enough of Brett Goldstein's content to realize that he had made this movie called Super Bob. Which is delightful. And so I was like, I kept hearing it being referenced when I would like listen to him on podcasts and stuff. And I was like, it's like a UK movie or whatever. So I was like, I wonder how I'd be able to watch this. So I just Googled like Super Bob streaming, and it was streaming for free on one of these platforms. Another thing I love about these platforms, no accounts. You don't have to make a single account. Literally you just click and then the movie just starts playing. And I'm like, love this. So I'm able to just like watch this movie for free in my living room and continue my Brett Goldstein obsession. Big fan. But then that put me into this world of like, oh, there's so many movies. And like I said, there are some, most of them are older, a lot of them are international, and then yeah, a lot of them are just so horny, and I'm just like, what? And I feel like it just feels like I'm in like an underworld. It's like I think about like New York City, for instance, and there's the places like Times Square and like Central Park, and then there are all these like seedy underbellies that I, of course, did not venture into because that's not my business. And I feel like in the world of free internet movies, it's like this underbelly where I'm like, what? Like, is this what? Oh, y'all are making movies about this and acting in it and just putting it out there, and I'm just like, okay. And so I'm truly trying my best not to wander into this dark alley of the internet. But I just find it very interesting that like once I left the mainstream world of Netflix and HBO Max and Amazon Prime and all these things, I'm just seeing like the other internet, and I'm like, oh. So basically pray for me, pray for my soul, because I really don't want to go there, but I see the temptation, and it's just right there, and I'm just like, wow. Just pray for me. That's all I've got to say about that. And then just in general, beyond just not watching a bunch of sexy movies in my free time, the other thing that I find really interesting about leaving Netflix behind is how much more time I spend on YouTube as a consumer of YouTube content, which I already do as a YouTube creator. I have my channels that I really like and that I really like reference. Not on TikTok, but Shorts is just their version of TikTok, and so I just find myself losing time to just watching all these shorts. Part of me feels this sort of guilt because so much time has passed and I've just been staring at my phone. But the kind of content that I'm attracted to on Shorts is like super educational. I watched this one short and it showed the way you can tell the health of a tree by doing this really small drill into like the center of the tree and like looking at the graphs of like and I was just like, what? Like stuff that just isn't even on my radar. I'm learning a lot about like calisthenics. There are all these YouTube creators who talk a lot about like body weight and calisthenics, and I'm learning about push-ups and pull-ups, learning new types of squats, and I'm just like expanding so much. Of course, dance YouTube, so just like seeing people just be really talented, and it's just great. Like it's just really wonderful, and I love it. And I don't think I have an addictive personality, so I'm not the kind of person where it would get out of hand, where I'm like,
I've got a YouTube video to make, but instead I'm just watching shorts.
But it's the same time that would have been spent on these really big streaming services, and instead I'm supporting other creators like me, which also feels really good. And there are shows that I love that are on Netflix that I think I'll sign up once they're back. So I love Great British Bake Off, and that's exclusively on Netflix. There was a show called, I think it was called The Diplomat with Carrie Russell, that I thought was really good. I loved Sex Education, and I think that is coming back soon, or it's already come back. But what's interesting as I name these is like, I'm gonna wait until there's like 5. Like I'm gonna wait until there's like 4 to 5 different things that I really wanna see and really love. And then I'll get it for like a month, marathon through it, and then cancel it again, probably. And I think that is one of the challenges that the streaming services are gonna have to deal with, is the way I got Disney Plus, watched all the things I wanted to watch, canceled it. And it's just that thing of like momentum. It's like once you kind of stop the momentum, it's really easy to just like never go back. So like there have been other things on Disney Plus since I've left that I've been like, oh, I kind of want to see that, but I just don't care enough to get over that like hump of like actually signing up for the platform again. So there's a part of me that like will maybe never go back to watching Netflix. And there's also, it's so weird, but there's also a part of me that takes like a sick pleasure in not knowing about certain TV shows and movies. Because I think for so long, I was very attuned to pop culture, and it was part of my identity, was having seen all the latest movies and watched all the latest shows, and even having a sense of what like the cultural consensus was on all these different forms of media and on the celebrities and on like just being a part of our like American pop culture. When I was that person, I would talk to people who truly lived lives outside, and I would say like,
oh, have you seen this show, this movie?
Things that I thought and still believe were very high quality. And they would be like, no, I haven't seen it. I remember talking to a friend. We worked at the same job at the time. She was someone who I would reference this TV show or that movie, and she hadn't seen any of them. And I was like, what is she doing with her time? And she was like, going on trips. She was like going out, going on bike rides. She was being a part of the actual world. And I remember being like, she's missing out. She's missing out on some really great content. And I think now, as someone who's like getting more comfortable with the energy of like being in my community, making friends, exploring, traveling, all these things, I'm like, oh yeah, there's something to living a life that's not on a screen. And I say that as someone who is making content to be watched on a screen, and you yourself are supporting me by watching my content on a screen. So yeah, okay. I love you. Let me know in the comments how you feel about Netflix and these streaming services, how you feel about watching a lot of content versus living your life outside, if that is something you struggle with or not. Thank you, Patreon people. Thank you, subscribers. If you want some coaching, I'm a creative coach. You can book some time here. Okay, bye.